friends. Hola a todos, amigos. This is kind of a different Facebook Live. I am actually at my home and quite informal actually. I'm gonna try to do this in English because I truly wanna help my friends from the United States trying to understand where we stand as a country or what's the situation in Venezuela. If you guys have questions in Spanish, please let me know and I will gladly answer them in español, por supuesto, pero la mayor parte de este video va a ser en inglés because my goal is ayudar a mis amigos americanos poder entender más o menos la situación en la que está mi país, nuestro país, Venezuela. And if you know a Venezuelan, today you probably saw them a little all over the place. Today, it's just one of those days when your body can be anywhere in the world, but your mind and your heart are back home. And often you won't see me posting stuff about Venezuela. You wouldn't often see me sharing stories about what's going on in my country because for me, and this is something very personal, it's a subject of great sadness. Thinking about what I left behind when I moved to the United States, thinking about what my family is still going through in that country, just thinking about what my neighbors face day by day as a reality really hurts my heart. And I try to keep my social media as my happy place as much as I can, but in a day like today I feel like it's my responsibility to try to bring some light into what's going on in my country. And today is 23 de enero, January the 23rd, which is historically a very big date for Venezuela. In previous years, on the January the 23rd, lots of things have changed. In a previous dictatorship back maybe 20 or 30 years ago, maybe even more than that, 40, I don't even know, to be honest with you. A dictator was taken out of power on a day like today. So this date has a lot of symbolism, a lot of power for the Venezuelan people. And today, you may have seen all over the news, hundreds and thousands of people protesting, carrying their yellow, blue, and red flags, singing songs, and condemning, just trying to let the world know how against they are the government of Nicolás Maduro, a government that's been in power for now close to 10 years since, 2013, which he essentially was appointed by Hugo Chavez, which no matter what some stories went to say out there, he was a dictator and he did so much damage to my country. But let's just start from the beginning. In 1998, and this is how old this goes. I came to the US in 2015, so I lived most of my life in Venezuela under this regime. I never truly knew the Venezuela my parents lived in, so my memories from my country are tinted with this sadness and poverty and lack of faith that both Chavez and Maduro just made us go through all these years they were in power. In 1998, when Hugo Chavez came to power for the first time, he promised my country a change. He promised to be the solution of over more than 20 years of the same thing, over and over again, the same people in power, poor people suffering. So it sounded quite attractive to people, you know, like this is what we need. We need a change. We need to step away from what we've been in the past and we need to be different. And Hugo Chavez sold that idea to the people and he won those elections by a lot. After that, we started to see who he truly was as a person. Although socialism was his flag and praising about making things fair, especially for the poor, was the thing that he used to preach, that was not the case. He gave a lot of free things to poor people, but he was making himself so rich, stealing money from the people of Venezuela, while the oil, which is the main import from my country, was extremely high. It was over $100 per barrel, which is a lot if you know about oil trade, and it's way above what it is right now. Getting all that money into his own pocket while saying on live TV that being rich is bad. Through his regime that lasted quite a bit, he closed TV stations, he self-censored journalists. That's why I'm here. As a journalist in Venezuela, you learn how to self-censor yourself so you're not either incarcerated or you're not taken away from your job or you're not prosecuted for simply telling the truth. He took control over everything, taking businesses away from people who built them from scratch and giving them away to his friends essentially, and just in simple words, bringing my country to shambles, just destroying the economy, destroying everything that by today has ended with an inflation that it's around 1,000%, if you can fathom how crazy it is. An economy that is essentially the Bolivar, but everything is dollarized, but people still get paid in Bolivars, which are worth nothing, where there's no food, there's no jobs, there's no health possibilities, there's no hospitals, there's no access to anything. And this is what we've become today after almost 20 years of this regime. After Chavez died in 2013, or maybe 2012, we don't know, that's still a secret or a mystery, he essentially appointed Nicolás Maduro as the next president. He sat down on live TV and he said, if you loved me, then you will vote for Nicolás Maduro to be president. And in the middle of these elections that were extremely close, those elections in 2013, Nicolás Maduro won by very little. But something that is important to understand is that in Venezuela, the elections are run by something called the CNE, which is El Consejo Nacional Electoral, the National Electoral Council. They run the elections, they count the votes, they have the machines for people to vote in them, and the CNE, SNE, as well as many other institutions in Venezuela are run by the government. So every single election we went through were made and administrated and ruled essentially by the people who were just appointing themselves to power over and over and over again. So it was a vicious circle that honestly crushed the souls of many. You have no idea how frustrating it is, believing that it's time for change, and every time you go to do it, you know, in a peaceful manner, going through the vote system, believing that you can make the change happen just by voting, you get a slap in the face and you lose one more time. And those who keep taking away everything from your country remain in power, to the point that now many people, most of the people in the country, do not believe in the system any longer. It's not worth go voting because you already know who is going to win. So the situation in Venezuela has just been getting worse. While Chavez was in power, oil was over $100 per barrel. When Maduro took power, the economy worldwide changed a lot, and that meant the price of the barrel went down like crazy. So from $100, it went down to like $20, meaning the government had no access to the same money they did before, so they couldn't keep buying people by giving them free things because it was not sustainable. Industries were essentially out of the country, and of course those in power wanted to keep putting those dollars in their pockets because of course people can be starving, but they still have to steal. They still have to get that money for themselves, of course. And essentially what had happened ever since is things are just getting from bad to worse and worse and worse, to the point where my mother cannot even eat protein, and meaning chicken or meat, every day of the week because they can simply not afford it, even with me sending them money from here. How sad is that? That's one of the reasons I don't talk about it much, because it really hurts my heart. Sorry. It's difficult to see your family and people you love struggling every day for the bare minimum. Just give me 1 second, guys. Sorry, it just makes me really emotional because this is where I came from. This is where I grew up. This is where my family still is. And I see every day when they have to struggle to live a semi-normal life. This situation has pushed many people, including myself, outside of our country, pushing them to, at this point, even walk. I'm not kidding. Walk thousands of miles away from Venezuela, trying to get to Colombia or Ecuador or Bolivia or Peru or Argentina or Chile, trying to escape and trying to get away from the situation in my country. Because when you get to the point where there's no food for you, there's nothing left. You leave everything behind and you try your best to find a future in another place. And I feel like everybody can relate to that. You know, if your family is in danger, if your life is in danger, if you have no access to the bare minimum to live a normal life, you're not going to continue in that place. That's something everybody can relate to. And that's something that we've seen lately a lot. Tons of Venezuelans, millions actually, traveling to Panama, to Colombia, as I said before, Ecuador, Panama, just fleeing the terrible situation our country is in because there is no hope. The government of Nicolás Maduro has taken away many things from my people, and I think one of the biggest thing is the hope for the future. And the hope that things are gonna get better, because we keep just being hammered and hammered with bad news, with bad things happening, and it gets to the point where your soul just breaks, your spirit just breaks, and you're just like, this is it, this is my life from now on, I have no choice in the matter. And that's what has pushed many people, including myself, to leave behind successful careers, their families, to walk, sometimes to walk, trying to find a better reality. And we can talk about xenophobia and all the trouble that some Venezuelans has been gotten to traveling to other countries in the midst of this crazy migration and situation, but that's another video because that's a whole different story. But just to go back to what we were talking about initially, about today. So I have some points right here because this is so much information that it's even hard for myself to remember or get everything in place to make sure that I'm accurate enough, you know, reporter life, news judgment. So on, Nicolás Maduro won. Wow, what a surprise. I didn't see that one coming. He won again, but most of the people in my country didn't even vote because, as I said before, we have no trust in the system. So it's not even worth going voting. So his government or his position as president, it's illegitimate. It's not legitimate. It's not really valued or accepted by most of the country, and now the rest of the world is actually starting to notice that. And this is why, or how we get to this year. For example, let's talk about the last January 10th, el 10 de enero, where he essentially was sworn in again for another 6 years in power as the president of Venezuela. But those elections were not really valid at all. And at this point, the international community, including countries like the United States, most of Europe, and other countries around the world, I have already noticed what's the trend and the lack of support from the people, and just essentially the dictatorship that blatantly governs Venezuela now. So this really elections were not up to international standards. So most people, most countries, and of course the people from Venezuela didn't believe in those results. So they didn't believe, or they didn't took him as president. They just moved him away, or although he's still president technically, they're not considering himself as so. And now, as I said before, our country has been under this massive, crazy sadness for the longest time, and by now people continue to go protest on the streets, and this is something that's been going on for many years now. Over 100 people have died in the streets of Venezuela fighting for their freedom, including my very good friend Danielito, a friend that I met when I was in high school, that I went to parties with, that I spent immensely fun times with, and he was murdered by the government for fighting for his freedom last year. That's how close this hits to home for me. And in the name of Danielito, and in the name of the many other people that sacrificed their lives to fight for what they believed in, to fight for the freedom to build their own country, people continue to go on the streets, and now brave politicians like this new guy, for many of you guys that might have never heard of Guaido, I'm turning quite American. Guaido, which is essentially a congressman or a senator. It's the leader of the National Assembly of Venezuela, which essentially serves as the Congress or Senate, you know, the National Assembly of my country, so that will be the legislative branch of the government in Venezuela. He's the president, and according to our Venezuelan constitutions, given that we do not recognize as Nicolás Maduro as the president of our country, then in this case, el senador Guaido, el asambleísta Guaido, Juan Guaido, he is technically the man in charge. He is part of one of the opposition parties in Venezuela, and as of right now, today, in front of thousands of people in Caracas, he was sworn as the current interim president of Venezuela. And why is this so significant? Well, let's take a little bit of perspective of this. This essentially tells us that we have two presidents in Venezuela. We have Nicolás Maduro, who is technically the president and has been there for the longest time, but essentially the international community and the people from Venezuela does not recognize him as such. And we have this man right here, Juan Guaidó, who is a congressman, a senator in Venezuela, who was elected by the people for his role there, and now it's trying to redirect the power towards where it's supposed to be based on our constitution. This happens today, and already, I'm sure you guys have seen it, even President Trump acknowledged as Guaidó as the new president of Venezuela, completely taking away the validity of the position that Nicolás Maduro currently holds. And the United States was not the only country that acknowledged or recognized Guaidó as the current interim president of Venezuela. Paraguay, Canada, Brazil, Guatemala, Argentina, Peru, Ecuador, and Costa Rica have also recognized him. Hi, Dayana, mi gran amiga Dayana Ro from Venezuela. Thank you so much. Thank you for your words. Dayana is in Argentina, if I'm not wrong. Dayana and I were friends back in Venezuela. We both had these great dreams about working in the media and having fun, and we were both pushed away from our country due to the situation. So I appreciate you so much. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your message. Muchas gracias, Dayana, de corazón, te lo agradezco. I know we share this connection and we share this sadness and hope that finally things might change for the best. So again, people has been hitting the streets, and you might have seen these protests not only in Venezuela but in other cities around the world. We had them in New York City, we had them in Buenos Aires, where crazy amounts of people dressed with yellow, blue, and red flags have been fighting and chanting about the freedom of our country. And the scary part is that where do we go from now? Nicolás Maduro is not letting go from power. He is still holding up to that power, but now the hope has been awakened again in the hearts of many Venezuelans. I think we are just braver than ever before. After today, our hope has been reinstated, and it's been helping us to try to find the joy again. A ver, Enrique. Saludos, Enrique. Claro que sí. ¿Puedo hablar en español? Claro. Puedo hablar en español, no hay problema. Como dije antes, este es un video esencialmente para poder ayudar a mis amigos americanos a entender cómo es la situación que tenemos en Venezuela actualmente y lo que estamos viendo hoy, pero con todo gusto, una vez que culmine explicando esto en inglés, voy a comenzar en español de nuevo para aclarar todas esas preguntas que personas puedan tener de cualquier parte del mundo. Claro que sí. So, as I was saying before, that's the scary part. Where do we go from now? Like, what happens now? And tomorrow will be a new day, and we will see if the regime of Nicolás Maduro is going to try to arrest and prosecute Guaidó, as they have had done before with other Venezuelan leaders, including Leopoldo López, who was put in prison for over 2 years, probably more than that, because of he was brave enough to fight against this regime. And I think the Venezuelan people is just rejoiced by the idea that international countries are finally acknowledging and seeing the fight that we're going through, finally acknowledging the fact that the Venezuelan people deserve better, that we deserve to own our future, and we need to take the power away from the man and the people that has been driving our country to shambles for over 2 decades now. And I am not really pro-international. Hi, Brazilian. Claro, Enrique, puedo hablar en español en un minuto. Como dije antes, en un segundo hablo en español para ti. Claro que sí. I am not really pro-international intervenence into other countries. I feel like every country should, decide their own future. But to the point that we are now in Venezuela, I think that the only exit that many of us see is the fact that the international community can help or bring some support to make sure that the democratic path of my country can go back to what it was. And Enrique is asking about a possible imperialistic coup trying to remove the people from the government right now, and I don't see it as such, as I was saying before, because at this point, after 20 years of suffering, the hope of finally removing Nicolás Maduro, who has been in power illegitimately, without actually non-support neither from the people, neither from the law, are finally going to be moving away from power and giving the opportunity to the Venezuelans to restart and try to build a country from zero. So this is what's happening today in Venezuela, friends. If you have any other questions. Saludos, un abrazo, así será, Diana. Muy pronto nos vamos a ver. Gracias, de verdad. Thank you so much. You bring so much joy to my heart to see you there. Gracias. You're not gonna make me cry. Please stop. I've been crying way too much today. Oh my goodness. But as I said before, please, if you know a Venezuelan, give them a hug. Listen to them as they ramble about their country and keep an open mind and an open heart about this situation that really breaks many hearts, including mine, and that gives us hope for a better future, for a normal country, which is essentially what anybody or any other Venezuelan is going to tell you they want. So I'm gonna pause now in English and I'm gonna start speaking Spanish now. So I apologize, American friends, if you missed the English part. This will be up on my Facebook page for a while, so you can go ahead back and see it. And I am missing a lot of points in the history. Don't get me wrong. This is not a very accurate description of what the past 20 years have been. If you have questions about exactly how things went down and how do we got to this point where we have no food and no health system that can support our people, then I will add a couple of articles that really describe very well who Nicolás Maduro is, who was Hugo Chavez, and who is Juan Guaidó, so you can better understand, if you're truly interested in this subject matter, what's going on. So now, nos cruzamos para español. Un abrazo para todos mis amigos que hablan español. Saludos para todos, saludos para Enrique, que tiene una pregunta. Él me pregunta que si no está en juego un golpe imperialista. Yo creo, Enrique, y creo que muchos venezolanos van a coincidir conmigo, de que luego de 20 años de estar sumidos en un falso socialismo, en el que el gobierno venezolano, el gobierno de Hugo Chávez y de Nicolás Maduro le robaron al pueblo de todo lo bueno con la bandera del socialismo, la gente de Venezuela recibe con los brazos abiertos cualquier oportunidad de dejar eso en el pasado y de comenzar desde cero. También lo decía en inglés, a pesar de que no estoy de acuerdo con la intervención extranjera y que creo que cada país debería decidir su destino en este punto de la historia de Venezuela, y luego de la muerte de tantísimas personas, más de cientos de personas en las calles de Venezuela tratando de defender la soberanía de nuestro país, si lo que se necesita es intervención extranjera para poder comenzar desde cero, que sea la intervención extranjera entonces lo que nos abra las puertas para un mejor futuro. Pero a este punto, si seguimos por el camino con el que vamos, no hay esperanza. No hay esperanza y miles de venezolanos continuarán dejando el país, caminando por los caminos de Latinoamérica con una bandera, con la esperanza de un mejor futuro, dejando todo atrás. Y esa no es la realidad que queremos. Queremos un país que sea donde podemos criar a nuestros hijos, que sea donde podemos crecer como profesionales. Y, again, si intervención extranjera es lo necesario para volver a poder tener esperanza en Venezuela, perdón, que sea intervención extranjera o que sea lo que sea necesario, pero que podamos recuperar las riendas de nuestro país que se han perdido en estos últimos 20 años de falso socialismo, en el que los líderes descaradamente robaron al pueblo de Venezuela no solo de dinero, pero también de la esperanza y del derecho que tenemos todos de crecer y vivir en un país en el que nacemos con las oportunidades que todos nos merecemos como gente trabajadora que somos. El problema de Venezuela no es un problema nuevo. Esto comenzó hace 20 años, en 1998, luego de la primera elección de Hugo Chávez como presidente de Venezuela, en el que inicialmente él le vendió a Venezuela el sueño perfecto. Veníamos de décadas de gobiernos de más de lo mismo, en el que la parte pobre de la población fue ignorada de manera descarada por muchísimos años, y él llegó vendiéndole a los venezolanos la idea del cambio, de un cambio en el que todos iban a ser una prioridad y en el que todos iban a tener la oportunidad de ser prósperos, no solo la clase rica. Y esa fue una idea que Venezuela compró, y la compró por completo, ganando esas elecciones Hugo Chávez con un margen increíble. Y de ahí en adelante, él luego solicitó el cambio de la Constitución, que simplemente abrió la puerta para lo que se convertiría en nuestra realidad por 2 décadas, que es increíblemente triste, la verdad. Durante los años de gobierno de Hugo Chávez, a pesar de que sí le dio muchas cosas a los pobres, muchas cosas gratis con las que compró votos por años y años y años, también robó a Venezuela de la empresa privada, de la empresa que podía darles simplemente fuerza a la economía. Y bueno, él tomó muchas empresas, se las dio a la gente, no necesariamente, tomó muchos de los esfuerzos de mucha gente y espantó a todos los inversionistas extranjeros al punto de que no quedan empresas privadas en Venezuela. Y luego de su muerte en el año 2012 o 2013, aún no está claro, esencialmente apuntó con un dedo y le dijo a la gente de Venezuela: tienes que votar por Nicolás Maduro. Si alguna vez creíste en mí, y en ese punto, luego utilizando también su enfermedad como una herramienta para manipular a la gente, logró que Nicolás Maduro de nuevo entrara al poder en una serie de elecciones que fueron poco creíbles, para decirlo de una manera decente. Unas elecciones que evidentemente no fueron legítimas. Y ninguna elección de ahí en adelante, y tal vez muchas antes que eso, nunca fueron legítimas, porque nunca se le brindó a Venezuela una oportunidad verdadera de elegir su futuro. Porque quienes organizaron estas elecciones fue el Consejo Nacional Electoral Venezolano, que siempre estuvo bajo el mando del mismo régimen. Es decir, quienes organizaban las elecciones eran los mismos que ganaban. No es una sorpresa. Y esto fue algo que llegó haciendo por muchísimo tiempo, y en el 2014 miles de personas salieron a las calles, cientos de personas murieron en las calles intentando tomar de vuelta el poder que les corresponde, y no se pudo. No se pudo, y hasta el momento, hasta el día de hoy, vemos una inflación que llega a los 3 dígitos, 1000% de inflación, una economía dolarizada, mientras que el pueblo venezolano sigue ganando en bolívares. Una economía que no permite no solo el ingreso de remesas extranjeras de manera normal, que no permite tampoco que ingresen donaciones que son extremadamente necesarias, especialmente para las personas enfermas. Estamos hablando, amigos que me ven de cualquier parte del mundo, que las personas que sufren de SIDA, las personas que sufren de diabetes, no tienen acceso a medicamentos que son necesarios para ellos sobrevivir. Imagínense morirse lentamente porque tu gobierno no permite el ingreso de esos medicamentos, o porque simplemente debido a la economía de tu país tú estás condenado a morirte a pesar de que tienes la oportunidad de seguir viviendo. Esa es la realidad que enfrentan muchos venezolanos, y es la realidad que ha llevado a muchísimos otros a huir del país, incluyéndome, dejando atrás todo, dejando atrás la familia, y muchas personas que se ven obligadas incluso a hacerlo caminando, porque no tienen suficiente dinero para comprar un boleto de avión, porque no tienen suficiente dinero para comprar un boleto de autobús, y caminan miles de kilómetros hasta Colombia, hasta Argentina, hasta Chile, hasta Ecuador, hasta Perú, Bolivia, cualquier país, pero menos Venezuela, donde puedan empezar desde cero una vida para poder construir de nuevo su familia, porque en Venezuela simplemente no se puede. Y bueno, esto nos lleva al día de hoy, y les pido perdón porque todavía estoy toda llorosa y fea, perdónenme. Tengo ya rato llorando, no hay vuelta atrás, ya lloró, ya se corrió el maquillaje, ya fue, se acabó. No hay nada que hablar. Y bueno, entonces, como les decía, llegamos al día de hoy. Perdón, permiso, lo siento mucho, sigo llorando, discúlpenme. Llegamos al 10 de enero de este año, en el que una vez más, luego de una serie de elecciones completamente ilegítimas, en la que la mayoría del pueblo venezolano no votó, porque, como les dije anteriormente, se perdió la fe por completo en ese sistema electoral que es crooked, no es válido, no es nada, no es sólido, es simplemente una mentira establecida por el régimen para darse validez a sí mismo. No vale la pena ni siquiera ir a votar. Esa es la percepción de muchos venezolanos, porque su voto realmente no es tomado en cuenta. Nicolás Maduro ganó nuevamente, y el 10 de enero se juramentó a sí mismo otra vez por 6 años más como presidente de Venezuela. Sin embargo, la Asamblea Nacional Venezolana, que es el cuerpo legislativo del gobierno venezolano, es decir, aquí en los Estados Unidos puede ser equivalente al Congreso y al Senado. En vez de tener 2 cámaras, nosotros tenemos una sola, que es la Asamblea Nacional. El diputado de la Asamblea Nacional, que ahora es el presidente de este cuerpo legislativo, Juan Guaidó, es el presidente de este cuerpo legislativo, y él decidió retomar lo que dice la Constitución de Venezuela, que esencialmente dice que cuando nos encontramos en una situación como esta, en la que el gobierno es ilegítimo por muchas razones, y de hecho es desconocido finalmente por la comunidad internacional, el presidente de la Asamblea Nacional, en este caso, de nuevo el diputado Juan Guaidó, Epa, amén, gracias Juan, un abrazo para ti. Gran amigo Juan, de mi amigo aquí de Delaware, una persona maravillosa con un gran corazón, te lo agradezco Juan, muchas gracias. De verdad significa mucho ese comentario, gracias. Amén, hay que orar bastante, tienes razón. Bueno, volviendo, como les decía, y me disculpo nuevamente que me sigue leaking my nose because I'm just crying so much, and that's what happens. Again, I apologize, you guys probably never thought you'll see me cry, but this is something I'm extremely passionate about. Entonces, como les decía, Juan Guaidó, que ganó su papel como diputado en la Asamblea Nacional Electoral a pesar de las miles de trampas que se establecieron por tantos años dentro del sistema electoral venezolano, decidió retomar las riendas del país tomando en base la Constitución venezolana y decidió que se acabó y con el apoyo de la población y con el apoyo también de países del llamado Grupo de Lima, que son una serie de países que han estado llevando la bandera de la democracia o intentando traer de vuelta la bandera de la democracia a Venezuela. Bueno, el día de hoy, frente a muchísima gente, 23 de enero, un día muy significativo, con mucho valor histórico para el venezolano, porque en años anteriores fue un 23 de enero cuando se derrotó una dictadura en nuestro país. Él se juramentó frente al pueblo de Venezuela como presidente interino del país. ¿Qué significa esto? Es decir, que mientras se realicen unas elecciones serias, mientras se realicen unas elecciones válidas y legítimas, Juan Guaidó sería el presidente de Venezuela. Recordemos que Nicolás Maduro ya se juramentó a él mismo como presidente de manera ilegítima el 10 de enero, lo que nos hace llegar a una situación en la que tenemos dos presidentes. Técnicamente tenemos a Nicolás Maduro y tenemos a Juan Guaidó. Lo que hace esto de verdad interesante es el hecho de que países como los Estados Unidos, incluyendo el presidente Donald Trump, tuiteó ratificando que él ve a Juan Guaidó como el presidente legítimo del país, deslegitimando por completo el mandato o el poder de Nicolás Maduro. Y los Estados Unidos no fueron el único país que hizo eso. Canadá, Paraguay, Chile, Argentina y una serie de otros países de todo el mundo también apoyaron esta juramentación temporal de Juan Guaidó como presidente, a manera de empezar a dar el primer paso para poder apretar el botón de restart y comenzar desde cero de nuevo en Venezuela. Nicolás Maduro también aseguró que él iba a echar del país a todos los encargados de la embajada norteamericana, que eran personas no gratas en Venezuela y que debían dejar el país lo antes posible. Hay que ver mañana qué va a pasar con esto. Hay que ver mañana entonces si el régimen venezolano va a intentar poner tras las rejas, como hizo con Leopoldo López, otro líder venezolano que pasó años encarcelado por luchar por la libertad de Venezuela. Va a intentar poner tras las rejas a Guaidó y marcarlo como traidor, a pesar de que es el único, la verdad, que ha tenido la valentía de reintentar tomar las riendas de la libertad y la democracia en nuestro país. Miles de personas llenaron las calles de ciudades de todo el mundo en las que venezolanos ahora viven debido a la triste situación en la que se encuentra nuestro país. Y bueno, hay un dicho venezolano que dice: amanecerá y veremos. The sun will shine tomorrow and we shall see. Hay que ver qué va a pasar mañana, hay que ver cómo se sigue desarrollando esta situación, pero si conocen a un venezolano, denle un abrazo, escúchenlo cuando empiece a hablar de toda esta situación y tengan un corazón abierto para entender que no es fácil, a pesar de que Venezuela no es un país del que se habla mucho en las noticias, por lo menos no en los Estados Unidos. Es un país que ha pasado por muchas cosas difíciles y abrir el corazón y intentar entender la realidad de otras personas es importante, y este es el caso de los venezolanos. Así que si tienen alguna pregunta, déjenme saber, con todo gusto les echo el cuento en más detalle. Esto no es by any means de ninguna manera un recuento histórico accurate, un recuento histórico verificado de cómo sucedieron los hechos. Me estoy saltando un montón de cosas que pasaron en los últimos 20 años, sin embargo, es simplemente una explicación para que mis amigos de otras partes del mundo, que ya la hice en inglés, ahora la hago en español, puedan entender en dónde estamos como país. Y bueno, gracias por su tiempo, gracias por escucharme. Voy a dejar esto acá y también voy a dejar una serie de artículos en inglés principalmente que explican detalladamente el timeline, cómo fue que pasaron los hechos y que nos llevaron a este triste momento de historia que hoy nos llena el corazón de esperanza. Hoy yo creo que los venezolanos, sin importar en dónde estén, tienen el corazón un poquito más lleno de esperanza, un poquito más lleno de que tal vez mañana va a ser un día mejor, de que tal vez muy pronto nos despertemos con la posibilidad de que el país va a comenzar desde cero y se va a transformar en lo que nosotros siempre quisimos ver. Gracias por su tiempo, un beso bien grande, les agradezco a todos por el apoyo. Un abrazo. Let's keep it up, guys. Let's keep talking about Venezuela. Let's keep asking questions and let's keep making this a priority because it is for the lives of millions and millions of people.